why your thoughts might not actually be yours. Right now, as you're reading this, there's a good chance your brain is running software you never agreed to install. Sounds crazy, right? But think about it. How many of your daily decisions are actually yours? How many of your beliefs did you consciously choose versus just absorbing from your environment? Mental viruses are real. They're not science fiction. They're toxic ideas that replicate themselves inside your mind, spreading through your neural networks like malware through a computer system. And the scary part, you think they're part of who you are. You defend them. You build your entire identity around them. But they're not you. They're infections. Here's how it works. Your brain is designed to find patterns and create shortcuts. It's an efficiency machine. Every experience, every conversation, every piece of content you consume gets processed and stored. But your brain doesn't distinguish between helpful information and harmful programming. It just absorbs everything and uses it to build your model of reality. Research from Duke University found that approximately 40% of our daily actions aren't conscious decisions at all. They're automated habits running in the background. You're not choosing. You're executing code that was written by someone else, installed without your permission, and now controls your behavior on autopilot. Think about your relationship patterns. Ever notice how you keep attracting the same type of person? Different face, same issues. That's not coincidence. That's a mental virus running its program. Your subconscious has been infected with beliefs about love, trust, and worthiness that keep you locked in destructive cycles. Or consider your financial situation. If you're struggling with money, there's probably a virus telling you that wealth is evil, that rich people are corrupt, that you don't deserve abundance. Where did that belief come from? Your parents? Society? Religion? Doesn't matter. What matters is it's controlling your actions and sabotaging your success. The most dangerous part about mental viruses is that they feel like truth. They come disguised as wisdom, common sense, or just the way things are. They're so deeply embedded in your thinking that questioning them feels like questioning reality itself. But that's exactly what you need to do. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology revealed that people rarely examine their core beliefs until a major life crisis forces them to. Most people live their entire lives operating on inherited programming, never once stopping to ask if any of it is actually true or helpful. So here's the uncomfortable question you need to ask yourself. When was the last time you really questioned something you believe? Not just thought about it casually, but actually tore it apart and examined where it came from and whether it serves you. If you can't remember, you're infected. And the infection is spreading. Every day you don't address this, the viruses get stronger. They build more neural pathways. They recruit more of your brain's resources. They become harder to remove. The good news, they can be removed. But first, you need to acknowledge they exist. Awareness. What belief are you ready to question today? Drop a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe. Because what comes next will show you exactly how to break free, how your brain became a virus factory without warning. Your mind didn't start out infected. You weren't born believing you weren't good enough, or that success requires suffering, or that happiness is always just out of reach. These viruses were implanted carefully, systematically, and you never saw it coming. The infection process starts with authority figures, parents, teachers, religious leaders, anyone who had influence over you when your brain was most vulnerable. They downloaded their fears, limitations, and unresolved traumas directly into your operating system. Not because they were malicious. Most of them genuinely believed they were helping you. But hurt people, infected people, infect people. Your father worked himself to exhaustion and called it responsibility. Your mother sacrificed her dreams and called it love. You watched, you learned, you internalized the virus that says your value comes from how much you suffer, how much you give up, how little you ask for yourself. Now, you're an adult, and you wonder why you can't set boundaries or prioritize your own needs. Then came the education system, 12+ years of training you to sit still, follow orders, memorize information, and regurgitate it on command. Creativity punished, questions discouraged, conformity rewarded. They weren't teaching you to think. They were programming you to comply, and it worked brilliantly. The virus spreads through social conditioning. Every movie, every song, every advertisement is pumping ideology into your brain. Romance should look like this. Success should feel like that. Beauty means this specific thing. Masculinity requires this behavior. Femininity demands that sacrifice. You absorb it all, and suddenly you're chasing goals you never actually wanted, trying to become someone you never chose to be. Social media accelerated the infection to epidemic levels. According to research from the Royal Society for Public Health, platforms like Instagram are directly linked to increased rates of anxiety, depression, and body image issues. Why? Because every scroll is a comparison. Every post is a reminder that you're not enough. The algorithm feeds you content designed to make you feel inadequate. So you'll keep consuming, keep scrolling, keep infecting yourself. But here's where it gets really twisted. After years of absorbing these toxic programs, you become the virus. You start replicating the same destructive patterns in your own self-talk. Nobody has to criticize you anymore. You do it to yourself. Nobody has to limit you anymore. You sabotage your own opportunities before anyone else gets the chance. This is called internalization. The external voices become internal. The virus goes from being something imposed on you to something you actively maintain. You police your own thoughts. You enforce your own limitations. You've become both the prisoner and the guard. Neuroscience explains this through a process called neuroplasticity. Your brain physically rewires itself based on repeated thoughts and behaviors. Every time you think a limiting thought, you strengthen that neural pathway. Every time you act on a toxic belief, you make it more automatic. You're literally building the architecture of your own mental prison, one thought at a time. And the virus doesn't want to be discovered. It has defense mechanisms. When someone challenges your beliefs, you feel anger, fear, or resistance. That's not you defending truth. That's the virus defending itself. It knows that if you start questioning, it might get deleted. So it triggers emotional responses to shut down critical thinking before it can begin. Recognition. What toxic pattern have you been replicating without realizing it? Comment below and smash that like button if this is hitting different. Why? You're addicted to ideas that destroy you. There's something deeply twisted happening in your brain right now. You're carrying beliefs that actively harm you, and instead of letting them go, you're clutching them tighter. You're not just infected with mental viruses. You're addicted to them, and that addiction is costing you everything. Addiction isn't just about substances. Your brain can become dependent on any pattern that triggers certain neurochemical responses. And toxic beliefs, they're one of the most powerful drugs out there. They give you identity. They give you certainty. They give you an excuse for why your life isn't where you want it to be. And your brain craves all three of those things more than it craves truth. When you believe you're not smart enough, you don't have to risk failure by actually trying. When you believe relationships always end badly, you don't have to face the vulnerability of opening your heart. When you believe the system is rigged against you, you don't have to take responsibility for your choices. These beliefs are permission slips to stay comfortable in your misery. The psychology term for this is secondary gain. You're getting something out of your suffering. Maybe it's sympathy from others. Maybe it's the safety of the familiar. Maybe it's a sense of moral superiority, because you're the victim and the world is the villain. Whatever it is, your subconscious has calculated that keeping the virus is less painful than removing it. Research from the University of Southern California found that when people are confronted with facts that contradict their deeply held beliefs, the brain's reasoning centers actually shut down while emotion and identity centers light up. You're not thinking anymore. You're defending. And what you're defending isn't even real. It's just code. Malicious code running on repeat. This is why smart people believe stupid things. Intelligence doesn't protect you from mental viruses. Sometimes it makes you more vulnerable because you're better at rationalizing. You can construct elaborate justifications for why your limiting beliefs are actually accurate assessments of reality. You can use logic to defend illogic. You can think your way deeper into the trap. Look at your life right now. Really look at it. The patterns that keep repeating. The goals you set but never reach. the relationships that follow the same script, the financial situation that never quite improves. These aren't accidents. These aren't bad luck. These are symptoms of infected programming running its course. And here's the hardest truth. You're spreading the infection. Every time you complain about how hard life is, you're transmitting the scarcity virus. Every time you criticize someone for their success, you're spreading the unworthiness virus. Every time you tell your kids they need to be realistic or play it safe, you're injecting them with the same fear-based code that's been holding you back. The virus replicates through language, through body language, through the energy you carry. People around you absorb your beliefs without you saying a word. Your children are watching how you live, not listening to what you say, and they're downloading everything. But there's a way out. It starts with one simple recognition. Your beliefs are not facts. They're just thoughts you've been thinking for so long that they feel like facts. And thoughts can change. Neural pathways can be rewired. Code can be rewritten. But only if you're willing to experience the discomfort of letting go of what's familiar. The addiction to toxic beliefs is powerful. But you're more powerful. The question is whether you're ready to prove it. Liberation. What's one belief you're ready to let go of, even if it scares you? Comment your answer and hit like if you're ready to break the addiction. How to delete mental viruses before they delete you. Removing mental viruses isn't like deleting an app. It's more like performing surgery on yourself while you're awake. It's uncomfortable, it's messy, and it requires you to cut away parts of yourself that feel essential. But those parts aren't you. They're parasites that have convinced you they're vital organs. Start with radical honesty. Grab a notebook and write down every major belief you hold about yourself. Money, relationships, and success. Don't edit. Don't make it sound good. Just dump it all out. Then beside each belief, write where it came from. Who taught you this? What experience reinforced it? When did you decide it was true? Most people avoid this exercise because they know what they'll find. They'll discover that 90% of their operating system was installed by other people. Parents who meant well but were broken. Teachers who were following a curriculum designed decades ago. A culture that profits from keeping you insecure and consuming. You've been living someone else's life, following someone else's script, pursuing someone else's definition of success. Next step. Intentional contradiction. This is where it gets uncomfortable. You need to deliberately expose yourself to ideas that challenge everything you believe. Read books by people you disagree with. Have conversations with people who live differently than you. Not to argue, not to prove them wrong, but to test whether your beliefs can actually withstand scrutiny. A study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology showed that people who actively seek out opposing viewpoints develop stronger critical thinking skills and greater mental flexibility. They become harder to program because they've trained themselves to question everything, including their own assumptions. This is the antivirus software your brain needs. Then comes the reprogramming phase. You can't just delete old beliefs and leave the space empty. Nature abhors a vacuum. You need to consciously install new beliefs, but this time, you choose them based on evidence, experience, and who you want to become, not based on fear, shame, or what others expect from you. This means creating new neural pathways through repetition. You need to think new thoughts until they become automatic. Act in ways that contradict your old programming until the new behavior becomes default. It feels fake at first, like you're pretending. That's because you are. You're pretending to be the person you want to become until your brain catches up and makes it real. Protect your inputs obsessively. Every piece of content you consume is either reinforcing old viruses or helping you build new patterns. That podcast that makes you feel anxious? Delete it. That friend who constantly complains? Limit exposure. That social media feed that triggers comparison? Unfollow everything. Your mental health isn't a joke. Your attention isn't free. Stop giving it to things that infect you. Build a firewall. Learn to recognize when someone or something is trying to install new viruses. Advertising, propaganda, toxic positivity, fear-mongering news. They all want access to your brain. They all want to control your behavior. You need filters. You need boundaries. You need the ability to say no to information that doesn't serve your growth. Finally, become the cure. Once you've cleaned your own system, you become living proof that change is possible. You don't need to preach. You don't need to convince anyone. Just live differently. Make different choices. Get different results. Some people will notice. Some will ask questions. Some will be ready to start their own deprogramming journey. The mental viruses that are running your life right now want you to believe this is too hard, that change is impossible, that you're stuck being who you've always been. That's the virus talking, not you. The real you is the one reading this right now, recognizing the truth, and deciding to do something about it. You're not broken. You're infected, and infections can be cured. Freedom. What's the first mental virus you're deleting today? Drop it in the comments, smash that like button, subscribe for more deprogramming content, and share this with someone who needs to wake up.